all these communication tools. Guys, I'm going to make everybody make sure that they're on camera. I want them to feel like as many people are here as possible, okay? We can go get strangers off the street and put them in here. I don't want to waste this time with like 3 people, okay? So, exactly. Could we get some cardboard cutouts and put them into the, so, if we can please do that, that'd be awesome. I tried to temper his expectations, but still. Kim, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
You like being in the middle, but you're not.
Oh, Jody, come on now. Okay, so Jody, remind me of your Twitter handle again.
Okay, what about now?
Okay, gotcha. There he is. Woohoo! All right, can you hear us? All right, we cannot hear you unless you speak. Speak. No, we can't hear you yet. So.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Almost. There we go. A little bit. There we go.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Y'all. There you are.
Can you hear me, Jennifer? You're not
I am hearing you. Do you hear me?
hearing me.
Okay, we're good. Hey, can you see me now?
Hey!
Hey.
Let me give you a brief warning that dismissal is starting in 3 minutes, so you're probably going to hear announcements and all kinds of things. Y'all are educators. Welcome to the life of being on a call during dismissal. So I apologize in advance for the announcements you're going to hear. I'll try to mute my mic every time they come on.
That never happens to y'all, right? Never, right? No. Look at Todd, more than 3 people.
I know, that's what I was about to say. I met my goal of at least 3 because you told me I would suck if I only had 3 people here.
Say that to him. That is a lie. That is a lie. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I will start the broadcast, and I won't really introduce you apart from just saying our guest is Todd Nesloney. I'll let you give them all of your background and wow them with all of your achievements and stuff, okay? I'll let you do that instead of me. Or I can tell them about your history in the rodeo.
Great. So how would you like for this time to be structured and work for the best benefit of the people here?
Typically what people do is they share their screen to talk about things. If you have a presentation that you want to use, that's fine, no problem. And then usually they leave, 10, 15 minutes at the end for questions? Is that kind of about right? Yeah. But we're grateful for all the time that you give us. So however you want to structure it, we'll be thrilled with.
So this is typically about 45 minutes or so?
It's typically an hour, but we'll go as long as you need us to go, Todd.
Okay. Minutes.
5 minutes? Okay.
I'm
just kidding. All right. Are you ready? Do you feel ready? Okay. Do you guys feel ready? Yes. All right. Okay. So
hold on. Let me close my door.
Okay. I feel like this is so awesome that he's doing this at his school and his office, right? Like, no, I love that.
What did you say?
We're talking about you.
Sit right where I face the hallway, and
right.
So every time somebody walks by, I'm distracted, so I have to close my door, or else I can't focus.
Can we see your tie?
My tie?
I wanted to see what it was. M&M's. All right, M&M's. Okay. All right, we're really going to start now. All right. Good evening and welcome to another Future Ready Learning Series for New Hanover County Schools. Tonight we are thrilled to have our special guest Todd Nesloney with us. Todd, welcome. Your audience is anxiously awaiting to learn from everything that you have to share, so I'm going to turn you right over to them.
Well, hello. I am thrilled to be here. As Jennifer said, my name is Todd Nesloney. I'm an elementary school principal in Navasota, Texas, little bitty town in Texas, about 20 miles south of College Station, where Texas A&M is. and about an hour and 10 minutes west of Houston. Okay, I was like, whoa, what was that? Anyway, I'm so excited to be here. I absolutely love Jennifer, so I was super honored when she asked me to just kind of share some of the stuff that we get to do and some of the things that you talk about with not only with my own team, but as I travel and do some presentations around the country. So let me go ahead and share my screen as there is the announcements that I was talking about. Let's see.
And also, don't forget the next show will be here tomorrow at this time. Please release all walkers, pre-K, kindergarten, and fifth grade.
Okay, so can y'all see my screen?
Yes.
So you can see where it says Kids Deserve It on it?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to talk about and use the kind of preface of Kids Deserve It just because, you know, that is an idea that was started with my friend Adam Welcome, who was a principal in California but is now the director of innovation at a district in California. And we met last summer. It's so weird that we only met a little over a year ago, and we've got a book out in this whole movement that we started. But Adam and I met, hit it off, and really wanted to move forward with some of the ideas that we found that we were in common on, our beliefs of just doing what's best for kids, not making excuses, and not letting anything stand in our way, but truly trying to be innovators while also bucking the system. And so we came up with the phrase Kids Deserve It. It was actually Adam's brainchild, the actual phrase, and we ended up creating a whole ecosystem around it on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We've got a website, kidsdeserveit.com, and of course the book is out. So that's just the preface behind where Kids Deserve It comes from. I love talking about technology and talking about things that we do with kids because one of my favorite things to point out is that technology isn't something that started today. Sometimes when we talk about some of the innovative ideas that are happening in education, we act like it's something that has just come about in the 5 or 10 years ago. This is a picture of me in 1988 listening to my mom's 8-track player. Like I always tell people, is a form of technology. I mean, we had technology around us when we were growing up, when we were kids. And so we need to stop acting like, oh, this just happened. We have to start incorporating this in education and realize that this has been around us for years. We just need to change our perspective. The other thing that hasn't ever really changed about anything is kids. Kids have always been filled with excitement, wonder, and joy. This is one of my favorite photos. It's a photo of me, my brother, and my 2 cousins. This is when they said go on our Easter egg hunt. And as you can tell, we didn't have baskets. We had buckets because we were hardcore Texas Easter egg hunters. And so I look at this picture and I think this is what I hope that my school that I work at looks like. That we have kids dashing into our doors. I always tell the teachers on my team, you know, we want kids running into the building, not running out of the building. And I just imagine that this is the kind of environment that I want to build with my students. I'm going to try to play this video. So Jennifer, if the video doesn't play well, since it is sharing the screen, let me know and I won't play it, okay?
Okay.
I think about 5:30, get in the shower, do my morning routine, go around 7 o'clock to come to work. I am so excited to go to work, so I do a dance off in the parking lot. It's a dance of magic. We serve breakfast, lunch, and hugs. The hugs are the best part. I am Tim Harris, and this is my place. Oh yeah. Hey guys, welcome to my place. How you doing? I'm good. How are you? Oh. Those are the best part, buddy. I love you. Have you been here before? I've never been here before. Well, I'm Tim. I'm the owner. Tim's place is the special place to be at because it's one and operated by me. And you guys are doing a great job back here. I love you guys. You guys are the best cooks ever. Since I was a kid, I wanted to own a restaurant, and I asked my dad to help me out. I'm very glad I did. Thank you, Dad. I love you so much. I'm very proud of you.
When he was about 14 years old, he told us that someday he was going to own a restaurant. After we all gulped and gasped, we began to take him seriously. The result is history in the making.
They support me so I can live out my dreams.
I'm amazingly proud of my brother. Just what he's accomplished in his lifetime. I mean, people can only dream, you know?
I love you all.
As far as we know, we have not yet found another person with Down syndrome in this country that owns their own restaurant. We hope that other people will, though.
My favorite part of all is the people coming through that front door. How you doing today? Good, how are you? Sometimes customers get sad. I give them a hug and then they feel a lot better.
Oh, thank you, Tim.
The hugs are way more important than the food. The food is food, so. I double hug. Yep, double hug. Love you guys. I am a mean hugging machine. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's not true.
Yes.
And
A Special Olympic
special
athlete.
limited, and you want to go more.
Medal off to Michael Phelps. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did not let my disability crush the dreams. With people with disabilities, they can do anything they set their minds to. They're special. We are a gift to the world.
You know, I watched this video and I think about, there's so many things to take away from this video, and it gets me emotional every time just because I think it's such a powerful thing. The only downside of this video is that that restaurant is actually not open anymore because he found the love of his life and moved to where she was, and so they have started a new family of their own somewhere else. But there's several things. I love when he talks about doing a dance of magic into work every day. I think that could be so applicable to us as educators is we need to love what we do and where we work so much that we want to dance into school because we are so excited to be there. And then I think about some of the other things he said about how, you know, the hugs are the most important part. The food is just food. And sometimes I think about our system as educators and how we have to realize that sometimes even in school, the hugs, the high fives, all of that, that is the most important part sometimes. The academics, that is secondary because you can't reach a kid's head until you've reached their heart. And then finally, I think about the last thing that he shared. You know, he didn't let his disability define him. There's so many times that us as educators that we place limitations on our children that they did not place on themselves, that we say what they can and cannot do, that we say what they're capable of or what we want them to be able to do. And so many times our kids will blow our minds with what they're capable of. And so I think that's a powerful thing to keep in mind as I share some of these ideas is that the only thing you are truly limited by are your own excuses and your own limitations that you place not only on yourself, but on your kids. One thing I hear from a lot of parents is this phrase right here, that a chalkboard worked for me, so why isn't it good enough for you? Sit there and go, oh my gosh, how do I respond to that? That's because I have parents that say, just send a textbook home with my kid. Can't you just send a packet of work? That's how I learn. Well, you know what? The fact of the matter is, sometimes I very bluntly have with parents and with other educators who don't want to do some of the more modern things is, you know what? What also used to not work for us is having a home with no air conditioning. But we really like our air conditioning now. Or riding a horse and carriage to where we needed to get. But now we like cars and planes and everything like that to get us from place to place. Technology is a part of our lives, whether we like to see it that way or not, and we have to move forward with the times because there is no job that is in existence right now that does not require your children to come in contact with some form of technology. And so we have to be utilizing that and incorporating it all the ways that we can. I've done either as a teacher or as an administrator. One of my favorite things to do is use technology for kids to collaborate with others. And so, again, I apologize. This is Missile, so you can hear the buses. Okay, so what is using technology to collaborate? And you know, I'm not a person that believes in a school or a district buying the same device for every kid. You'll never walk into a room full of adults and have every single adult on the same device. So why do we do that with our students? I believe in providing choices of Chromebooks, iPads, tablets, phones, all kinds of things, desktops, for them to be able to use for whatever meets the needs of what they're trying to accomplish. But the most important thing is that we're not just using technology to consume information. Our kids need to be using it to create. And one of my favorite stories that I tell about my kids collaborating when they were 5th graders is that we had found a school in Australia, a group of 3rd graders who were studying the same things we were in science. So we connected with them. We did a Skype call. It was so much fun. And then we decided to do a collaborative project between our classes. So every one of my 5th graders was partnered with an Australian 3rd grader. And it was such a neat experience, first of all, to do the Skype, because at like 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday in Australia is like 5 o'clock on a Monday in Texas. So we got to tell them, oh yeah, we're Skyping with the future, and they got to pretend like they were Skyping with the past. So it was neat. And yes, I had to do that call after school, after hours, because I advertised it with my 75 students. I said, you know what, you can come to this. It's going to be at 5 o'clock. I'd love for you to be there, but you don't have to. Out of my 75 students, 49 of them showed up. The reason why? They said they wanted to hear the Australian accent. That was all they cared about. But I didn't care. It got them there. So we did an entire collaborative project through Google Slides where the 5th graders had a 3rd grade partner. They designed the slides together, and then we presented together via Skype, where the 5th graders got to present with their 3rd grade counterparts across the world. When you teach in a tiny district like I do, where most of the kids never leave the state of Texas, much less their county, it is such a cool experience for them to be able to go to the next grade level and say, yeah, I worked with this kid in Australia. The kind of free opportunities that we get to provide our students that they don't necessarily normally get to participate in other places. One of my other cool things that I got to do was with a friend of mine named Kevin Honeycutt. He saw some of the project-based learning activities that we were doing in my class, and he said, you know what? I'm at this school in Kansas that's doing project-based learning as well. Why don't we connect your classes and you can both share about the activities you're doing, because they're building hot dog solar cookers. And I thought, oh, sure, I'd love to set up a Skype. And he was like, no, I don't want to do a Google Hangout or a Skype. He was like, that's so boring to just sit there and have one group talk to the other. He said, I've got this thing called the Double Robotics Robot. I would love for your kids to control the robot and drive around the room, raise it up and down, and talk to the students while they're building their solar cookers. And I was like, of course, that's amazing. So we took control of this robot from our school town in Texas and drove it around this Kansas City school. And you can see I'm in the picture. That was only at the introduction because I tried driving it and could not seem to drive it anywhere except into a wall. And so, of course, when you do something like that and you hand it over to a kid, they had it doing tricks in less than 5 minutes. But we got to do this entire collaborative activity where my kids got to roll around the room and interview the students. We got to roll the robot outside the school while they set their cookers up, then go down the hall into the principal's office while the principal let our kids interview us. It was so neat to be able to do something this simplistic that didn't cost a dime. And it's a big shout out to Kevin Honeycutt for allowing me to be able to do this. But these are the reasons why I always tell other educators the power of being a connected educator. There's so much learning that can happen within your district or within the 4 walls of your school, but no matter how talented the people are, those ideas are still extremely limited. But for people like me and Jennifer, who are connected educators, when we're able to connect with and learn from others around the world, I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't take advantage of learning from the best in the business free whenever I want to, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have access to brilliant minds that I don't always have in my community. Like Kevin Honeycutt, people like the school from Australia. I've found them because I chose to take the leap and push myself out of my comfort zone. Now you'll notice I'm using the word social media, not necessarily Twitter, but Twitter is my favorite, and that's what I swear by. But I know educators who have huge Facebook groups or Instagram. They follow educators on Instagram or Periscope or Pinterest boards or blogging circles. There's so many ways to connect that really what I tell people all the time is you live in a world now where you can no longer claim ignorance. You can only claim defiance. And I think that's hugely important for us to remember that when we say, oh, I don't get that Twitter thing, a true statement. That's a very defiant statement because there was this website invented. It was called Google, and you can go on Google, what is Twitter? How do I tweet? What the heck is a hashtag? And there will be videos, blogs, step-by-step directions, every single thing. Oh, this bus, I can't focus.
31, 8, 17, 29, 13, 3.
Okay, so that was the final announcement, hopefully. So, but When you have something at your disposal like Google or YouTube that will walk you through, you really have no excuse. The phrases we need to be saying are things like, I don't want to learn that, because that is where we sit now in our world today. We can't say something is too complicated or I don't get it. The true statement is, I don't want to learn it. I don't want to make time for it. Because we also can't say the phrase, I don't have time. Because the fact of the matter is, we have a time for exactly what we choose to make time for. And it's okay to say, that is not important enough to me to make time for it, but we've got to take out this mindset of, I don't have time for that. We have time for exactly what we choose to make time for. But we do prioritize things, and we do find things that aren't important that we don't want to make time for, and that's okay to do. Things to do that I'm really passionate about is building up kids and staff members. I had read about this girl in high school who had put positive sticky notes on all her friends' lockers. Some of them had fallen off, and she got in trouble for littering in the hallway. Well, the community rallied around her and turned into this whole positive Post-it note day that schools across the nation take part in every spring. We took part in it for the last 2 years, and it has been such an exceptional changing experience. What we do on our campus is we give every single kid 5 sticky notes. They can bring their own too, but of the 5 sticky notes, 2 of them have to be to employees on campus. 2 sticky notes have to be to peers of theirs, and the 5th sticky note has to be a sticky note they write to themselves. Because we think it's just as important for kids to recognize the genius in themselves as it is to recognize the genius in others. And what those kids do is they pass those sticky notes out, they put it on their desk, but then teachers' doors began to get covered with positive things. The front doors of our school began to get covered for visitors that our kids wanted to write notes for to remind them of things. And then I love when I see students like this student in the lunch line, because the first time I saw this, I said, what the heck are you doing? I said, why do you have those taped all to you? Well, duh, I want everybody to see how awesome I am. And I thought that is such a great attitude and a great belief that our kids have of, let me show others what greatness people see in me, that I'm going to wear these sticky notes. We spent $25 at Walmart to buy enough sticky note pads in case the teachers weren't able to provide their own. And we were able to do this experience that let me tell you, we do this in like February or March, but our sticky notes stay up all year long because the teachers don't want to take them down because they love seeing the little reminders of things. Another thing that I absolutely love is something my friend Adam Welcome does. He does a lot with spheros, which are those little round robots that you can code and make them move and jump and change colors. But what I wanted to share with this slide about is that so many times we bring these great tools to class or to school, and we use them in the school, the library, our classrooms. And what that tells the kids when we only use them in those spaces are that this is only great learning at school. When you go home, do something else, but you're not doing this at home. And why that happens is because we don't send these things home with kids. We send textbooks that cost thousands of dollars, tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars home with kids, but for whatever reason, we make excuses of why we don't send technology home. And Adam just had this great idea this last year of, you know what, let's take these spheros, let's take these iPads, let's send them home with kids and check them out and see. And our fear is it'll get broke, it'll get lost, it'll get stolen. Do you know, in the time that we've been doing this, I have had more teachers break and lose technology than I have students. It's so great. This is a picture that a parent of one of Adam's students texted him on a Saturday morning, and she said they have spent 3 hours coding this Sphero robot. I can't get them to put it down. Thank you so much for sending them home with them this weekend. They can't stop talking about how excited they are to teach a lesson to their class of what they learned this weekend. To me, that's the kind of learning that I believe in. For homework, I don't believe in skill building, letting them explore, create, and take these things. It takes it out of this realm of this can only happen at school and puts it into a realm of this can happen anywhere. Learning is fluid and learning can happen wherever I want it to happen. And it also tells the kids, you know what? I trust you. I trust you enough to take this home and to do something awesome to come back to share with others. I also absolutely love mystery Skypes and mystery Google Hangouts. In case you're not familiar with these have become so popular. They have their own hashtags. Skype in the Classroom website has its entire mystery Skype section where you can connect with other schools and educators. But essentially what this is a game of 20 questions. I know where you're from, you know where I'm from, but our students have no idea. West of the Mississippi, does it snow in the winter? Do you speak multiple languages? And our kids go back and forth and see which class can guess where the other one is first. And we use maps and Google Earth and all these other great things. What I love about this one that I have up here is this is one of the very few that my class actually won. And you see that pirate in the background, that is their teacher. He did 5 wardrobe changes during this mystery Skype. He was one of People Magazine's top 5 teachers of the year a couple years ago, and he is absolutely phenomenal. But you see all of his kids are dressed as pirates. Actually, absolutely love these. We did 30 to 40 of these every school year, and they had nothing to do with the subject I taught. But these took 10 or 15 minutes and connected my kids, build experiences, and got them excited about coming to my class because they never knew who we were going to be. Whether it was going to be CEOs of companies, we did a Disney Channel star, we did a singer, we did an actor, we did art, we did book authors, we did all kinds of mystery Skypes where they had to guess. Now, I told you we didn't win very many of them, and that's because we're from Texas, and I have had to work very hard to teach my students not to use the word y'all. Because no matter where you are in the South or in the North or anywhere else, as soon as you hear the word y'all, your first guess is they're from Texas. And so I've had to teach my kids, and it's so funny because they'll say, well, what do we use instead of y'all? And I'm like, you guys or you all. And so they'll always come to the camera and say, okay, I have a question. What are you guys? What are you guys? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're giving it away again. But the other thing we had to really be cognizant of is not having our flag in the camera as well, because we tended to have our state flag up in the camera because we hang it everywhere in Texas. So those are some points of advice to make sure you protect yourself doing that. But these were so easy to do. Blogging as well, and my friend Pernille Rip is the one who convinced me to get my students blogging. And I fought that for a while because I said, they don't even write. Why are they going to blog? But my kids ate up blogging. And do you know why? Because I eliminated all rules when it came to blogging. I told them, I don't care how long it is. It can be 1 word. It can be 10 pages. Spell everything in that post wrong. I don't care if you have correct punctuation or not. The only thing that I need you to do is every Friday by 3:30 p.m. have a blog posted, 10 pages. My kids blew my mind with the kind of stuff that they were willing to share, whether it was about their personal life, parents' divorces, pets dying, friends fighting. I learned so much about my kids, but it also gave me another platform to interact with them by leaving comments on their blog posts, sharing their blog with my social media network. It gave them a voice that some of them didn't feel they had in person, but that they had when it came to pen and paper. Adam also taught me about social media interns. And these are just my favorite thing. Start them next week on my campus. And what social media interns are we select 2 students a week, and 5th grade is the highest grade on my campus. So I'm going to select 2 5th graders. For 1 week, I'm going to teach them how to tweet from our social media account and take photos. And they're going to take photos and tweet things that they're seeing going on in our school. The second week, they are completely in charge of the social media account where I am not in charge of it at all. And they're allowed to tweet and post photos of whatever they want. The third week, we select 2 new 5th graders, and they train the new ones. So it's a trainer trains the kids. So Adam has done this for several years and just seen such powerful moments of getting kids to realize that they have a voice for our school and our school accounts. Because our perspective of the way things happen in school doesn't always match the kids' perspectives. And they always see great, interesting things that I didn't notice. And so allowing them to take charge of our social media accounts has been a really great thing for us. I know that there's a couple schools in Texas where they have high school seniors run the entire school account. Facebook, Twitter, Remind, everything for the high school. That was the deal breaker in getting their students to actually care about what the school was sharing on social media. Because so many times social media, only people look at it are the parents, if even them. kids running the account, the kids are going and telling their friends, did you see what I tweeted out? Did you see that photo I shared? Did you see that class? And then they're talking about things that are going on at school, and that changes the conversation and allows so much more interactivity. One of my other favorite things to do is classroom transformations. I got to visit the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. It's an academy started by Disney Teacher of the Year, Ron Clark, as well as the co-founder is a secondary Disney Teacher of the Year, Kim Bearden. Two of my teacher heroes, absolutely adore them. I got to go as a teacher, and then this past April, I got to go as an administrator. And when I was there, I got to hear Kim Bearden, who is one of my favorite people in my entire life. She is the most real, down-to-earth, loving person I've ever met. I absolutely adore her. And so I went and visited the academy, and one of the things that Kim talked about was classroom transformations, and how, you know, so often we focus on having them memorize things. When you look at research shows that memories are actually exist in emotional experiences. And so as educators, we need to provide those emotional experiences. Then I read Dave Burgess's book, Teach Like a Pirate. And in that book, he talks about how would kids be willing to pay $1 to come to your class or to see a lesson? To pay $1, your lesson sucks and you need to fix it. And that may be harsh and may be hard to hear, but it's true. And you know, people have said, well, why would you be charging kids to come to your class? That's not the point here. The point is not to charge your kids to come to class. The point is, are your lessons that good that kids would want to pay to come to your class? And so when I went back to my school, I said, you know, I want to do something like that. So I spent $35 at Dollar Tree. I changed my room into the Nez Hospital. And outside the door, there was a big poster that said, welcome to the new doctor training program at the Nez Hospital. There was a sign on the door that said, please wait for the doctor to see you. I came out of my room. I was dressed like a doctor. I had glasses. I had a hairnet, gloves, everything. I had a sub pass that had me named as Dr. Nesbitt. And I had transformed my room by covering all the walls in clear plastic paper and making it look like an operating room. I had a 3D beating heart on my smartboard. I had the sound of a beating heart playing on an iPod. I had all these activities that we did all day around math that we were learning, but it was in a hospital-type environment. I borrowed chemistry labs from the chemistry department at the high school, and I got masks and hairnets for all the kids. Neat experience, and one that for every single week from then on out, I got asked when Dr. Nesbitt was coming back. And I would be like, hello, I'm here every day. Nesbitt back. And I remember sitting at lunch that day, and I was in character all day, and the principal came by and said, Dr. Nesbitt, are you okay? Do you need anything? And I was like, no, everything's great. And she walked away, and the kid leaned over to me and said, she knows you're not Dr. Nesbitt, right? And I was like, yes, she does. Experience for me to get to have this. And one of my favorite things is I did this about 4 or 5 years ago, and I have kids still contact me on Instagram and say, are you still doing that doctor thing? And they would share a picture or talk about how that was one of their favorite memories. And to me, that's a real testament to how powerful these things are. And I've gotten to watch my teachers now at my campus as we read Kim Bearden's book, Crash Course, and they did a crash course day where they had a class transformation day. And the kids still talk about that as their favorite day of the year, to have this, but grounded in deep instructional practices. Another thing that I've done that I absolutely love is the math fair. With the math fair, what we done is, as I've always seen these science fairs and thought they were great, but I wanted to do something as a math teacher. And so what I did was I gave them 6 weeks. And I said, for the first 2 weeks, you need to decide what you want to present on at the math fair. It has to be something that you are passionate about. To do is come up with 6 ways that math is involved in your passion and create 3 visuals. So they had 2 weeks to decide on their idea, because out of my 75 kids, once somebody chose something, nobody else could choose it. So once Johnny chose basketball, nobody else could choose basketball. Then notice I said they had to create 3 visuals. I wanted to make sure they didn't know that all I wanted was a trifold. No, I never said the word trifold. Many of them did one, because when they think of a science fair, they think of a trifold. But they blew my mind, because that was the only rule, is to make sure that you blow my mind. I did not take a grade on this assignment at all. They did this completely because they got to choose exactly what they wanted to present on. This little boy right here won our math fair the first year. That is a paper mache Jack-in-the-Box head that he made himself with his mother. Then he made the trifold, and then he made a math in the box little handheld thing. You see, he's wearing a suit. He was one of our poorest kids. We have about 90% of our students on a free and reduced lunch. He was one of our poorest. He had a cousin drive 3.5 hours to deliver him the suit because he had to look like Jack, he said, and he wanted to look and be the part. I had kids bring a drag racing car that their parents drove, and they set it out in the parking lot and did their session in the parking lot because if you came to their session, you got to sit in the drag racing car. I had a girl bring her softball coach because she chose pitching, and she and her coach sat out there and pitched for an hour and a half and talked about the math involved with pitching. I had a girl choose barrel racing, and she brought her horse and barrels in our back pasture, and she went and did the barrel racing and talked about the math involved with that. When I told kids to blow my mind, they took it and ran with it. I spent most of the evening in tears, as did many of the parents, just because I couldn't believe with. And it was just a reminder that when we eliminate these rules and these constraints and the grades and just let kids surprise us, they will. Now, I will also say there were kids who did beyond the bare minimum out there. But you know what? They told me afterwards, and they came to me and apologized because they were like, our stuff sucked compared to the people around us. And I tell them very bluntly, you know what? It did, because you did not put in the effort that the other people did. But I had kids choose Walking Dead, skydiving, Angry Birds, tamale making, macaroni and cheese, all kinds of things, anything they were passionate about. But this is just another opportunity. And I've had teachers now take and run with this idea. They do book fairs. They do all about me fairs. All these ways to just let kids share their passions and excitement about learning. Another thing that I've done is You Matter letters. This idea came from Erin Kress, who is an educator, and Angela Myers just really inspired her, and she blogged about it, and I took the idea and ran with it. And my first year doing it, I wrote a letter to all 75 of my students this summer before they started 5th grade. And all the letter said was, I can't wait to meet you. It's going to be the best year ever. You get a clean slate when you come into my class, and we're going to make this something magical this year. And we're going to work together to find your version of success, because I already know that you are exceptional. They would get the letter, and you know what? I had not one kid say anything about the letter. I had a couple of parents tell me thank you for sending it, but not one kid. The last week of school, a parent came to me with a letter, and she said, I wanted to give you this. My son wrote it. She was like, well, he wouldn't let me read it, but he didn't want to be here when I gave it to you either, but he wanted us to read it together. And we sat there, and I will forever remember the moment because we just sat there and cried together as we read it. Because her son was a special education student, had never before passed any of our state exams, but by the grace of God, his 5th grade year, he did pass his exams, all of them. And in the letter it said, Mr. Nesloney, I just wanted to let you know how much you matter to me. He said, because every year I've always been labeled a special education student. You even met me. You sent me a letter that told me how special I was and that told me we were going to work together to find my version of success. And he said, and nowhere in there did you say the word special ed or learning disabilities or anything like that. You treated me like every other kid before you ever even met me. And that's the reason I was able to pass my test this year, because I believed that I could. It was one of those extremely powerful moments that I knew that I could never not write the letters again. Now as a campus administrator, I write letters to all 750 of my students before they come in the summer. And then every single staff member on my campus writes letters as well. It's not optional. When I tell my staff that we're going to do something because it's best for kids, they know that they have no choice but to get it done, unless they can tell me why it's not best for kids. If they can tell me why it's not best for kids, they don't have to do it. Otherwise, we are a team, we are a family, we work together. You don't like it, I can help you write a resume, you can find a job somewhere else. And I very clearly say that on the first time we come together every time. Because you know what? I don't have time to play, and these kids don't have time to mess around with people who don't truly care about doing what's best for them. 1 year wasted in an elementary child's life equates to 3 that you will never get back. And our kids don't deserve that. They deserve the best at all times. And if that means I have to have those hard conversations with teachers and say, you know what, maybe it's time that you look for a job somewhere else, then I'm willing to do that. But what every teacher does is they write a letter to every student in their class. Now, every single staff member on our campus does these letters. So if you don't have a homeroom class, You go and grab the school roster from the front desk and you highlight 20 random names that you're going to write letters to, because every single employee writes letters. And we always send them out before Meet the Teacher. Do you know our Meet the Teacher percentages increased from in the 40s and 50s to over 96% of our students that show up for Meet the Teacher now? All because we send these letters out, because I cannot tell you how many kids show up to Meet the Teacher with the letter in their hand. Do you know how powerful it is for a 5-year-old to get a letter that tells them how amazing they are and how much you can't wait to meet them? That is a 5-year-old that can't wait to come to school and that can't wait to start. And so these are things that are very inexpensive. As a school, we pay for all the stamps, so the teachers don't have to worry about that. We provide them with the envelopes. All they have to do is write the letter. An organization that I believe in with all my heart is an organization called Classroom Champions. There is not any other organization besides Remind that I truly believe in the people that are doing it have their best interests in kids and educators. Classroom Champions was started or co-founded by a gold Olympic medalist named Steve Messler, who was on the U.S. men's bobsled team. He and his sister started it because he would go into schools and present and then leave and say, what was my lasting impact? I want to do more. And so he started Classroom Champions with his sister. And what they do is they connect top performing Olympic and Paralympic athletes with schools, and they have lessons on their website for free, classroomchampions.org, that teach character, goal setting, fair play, teamwork, done by these top award-winning professional athletes. Favorite photos that I own, because we got selected as a Classroom Champions school. Or, a class. What does that mean if the whole program's free? Classroom Champions teacher, that means I got an athlete specifically assigned to my class who did some Google Hangouts with my class, sent us some technology, all these great things. But we also won a video contest, and our athlete got to come visit our school. Here was Paralympian Josh Sweeney, who fought in Afghanistan, stepped on an IED, lost both of his legs, came back to the United States, joined the men's sled hockey team, went to Sochi, Russia for the Paralympics, and scored the only goal that the U.S. scored that won them the gold medal. Then he got to come visit our school. To put 750 kids into a room, pre-K5, and have them be completely silent where you could hear a pin drop for 45 minutes, that's how you know it's a powerful moment for kids. And I let them ask anything they want. I don't limit kids' questions, because when we limit their questions, we make them feel like their questions are inadequate or not good enough. And so one of my kids stood up and said, "Are you angry you don't have legs?" And he looked right at them and he said, "You know what? I'm angry about something that I can't change." He said, "I could sit here and be angry, but do you know if I had legs right now, I wouldn't be a gold medalist. I wouldn't have the life that I have." He said, "There are some things in your life that you can't change, and sitting there and being angry about them is not going to help anyone." When you work with kids that come from environments of difficult backgrounds, it's a powerful message for them to hear when they're looking up to somebody who has found success in life. To hear them say that your circumstances you do not have to allow them to define you. You can choose to be better and do something different with your life instead of making excuses for it. But this is an organization that I tell everybody about because they are so powerful and everything about them is free. Connected, and you choose to share your story, great opportunities open up not only for you and your school, but for your students. Because we were sharing our story online, some of our 4th grade teachers were tweeting about some STEM activities they were doing. Yes, the White House saw our tweets and contacted me and said, "Oh my gosh, we love this stuff. You know, we're doing a STEM Google Hangout with 7 Miss America contestants, including Miss America herself. Would your 4th graders like to ask them some questions?" And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so right. I'm sorry, this announcement, I don't even know what I was talking about. These announcements keep throwing me off. Anyway, I said, oh my gosh, yes, of course we want to be involved at the Google Hangout. And they said, okay, well, I said, when is it? They said 45 minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, we got to train these kids how to act. And you see, we didn't have anything special. We put a laptop up on a counter and bent it down where my kids could get in the camera. But they got to ask questions to some Miss America contestants about women in STEM fields and girls going into those kind of fields and what they can do. And it was such a cool experience. Saw some work that we were doing and contacted me and said, would you speak to our board of directors about some of the stuff your school's doing? And I said, sure. And they said, you know what? As a payment, we'll send you one of our National Geographic Explorers to come visit your school for free. That's like an $8,000 value. I said, heck yeah. When do you need me and how? And so we had a National Geographic Explorer come visit our school and talk about their travels. saw the work that we were doing when we were doing a book study over her book and said, I'm so impressed by your school and your teachers. I'd love to come surprise them and spend a day with them on their crash course day. She flew out to our school and spent a day with us when we did our crash course day because she was so moved by the work my teachers were doing studying her book. These are the boundaries that are broken down when you choose to share your story on social media. I love doing with my staff every February are these letters right here. They walk into the staff meeting and we watch a video from Soul Pancake, who has exceptional videos over the science behind gratitude, and that when you show gratitude to others, it actually increases your mood more than it does the other person. And so then we have these little cards, these pieces of paper with their name on it in the middle. They take a Sharpie, and for 15 minutes, they have to walk around the room and write encouraging things about other people on other people's paper. Scripture, sayings, phrases, memories, whatever. And then we go back to our seats, and for 5 minutes, we sit in silence, reading and taking in what others have said about us. Such emotional experience, especially in the doldrums of November or February, to do an activity like this. And then I take them and put them in the most dangerous place in the school, the teacher's lounge. I want to go in there and complain. I want you to be able to go in there and be surrounded by the awesome reminders of how great the people are around you. Then at the end of the year, every teacher gets to take it home with them. And so this has been great because our teachers all have them posted in their room somewhere, because we have so many days where we doubt what we're doing or we doubt our skills. And these are good reminders that there are good things that we're doing and people see the good things that we're doing. And so this is something, again, that is so easy and simplistic to do that it really is moving. Proud of doing as a principal is our dinner with a gentleman. We have a program that we do called Watchdogs, where we seek to get men to be volunteers in the school. Watchdog kickoff event last year with pizza, advertisements, everything. 750 kids go to my campus. The number 2, the one that comes after 1, 2 dads show up to our kickoff event. It was humiliating. It was discouraging. I thought, what are we going to do? A lot of schools do donuts with dads. I said, but we don't have the facility to house that in the morning. I said, so what else can we do? And I don't want to do anything with the word dad in it, because about 60% of my students do not have their fathers actively involved in their class, in their life. Their fathers are either incarcerated or CPS has removed them or other things like that. So I said, you know what, let's really do something to celebrate the men in these kids' lives. Let's do a dinner with a gentleman. We use some of our title money to pay for a caterer to fund this dinner. I said, you know what? I said, I want to provide a book for every kid that shows up because I want them to take something home to read with their gentleman, to continue the conversation at home. I said, I want to have a student panel where we have students that we interview about their men they brought and why they brought them and the impact the men have on their lives. I want to have 3 guest speakers that speak for 5 minutes each, little Ignite talks, an African American, a Hispanic, and a white person, because those are the people that represent our community. And then I said, I want to say a few things to the men and let them watch the slideshow of the kids to see the great things their kids are doing. 150 men, because we only had 2 show up for the Watchdog event. We did RSVPs. We had to stop taking RSVPs at 640. We had 580 men and children show up for our dinner with a gentleman. We had to borrow tables from the city council, the VFW, local churches. We had to get a new caterer because we had to change the meal because we couldn't afford it because we weren't expecting that many people. We had, I mean, it blew our mind. And I can't tell you how emotional it is, because I'm even getting emotional now, how emotional it is. It's one thing to stand in front of a room full of parents who have shown up for their kids. Stand in front of a room full of men who showed up for their kids, because that is typically who is absent in our kids' lives. And so to have all those men there. We had one gentleman so moved by the event that to this day, he has worked with his job to take every Wednesday off of work. And he spends the entire Wednesday at our school every single week. He goes on field trips with grade levels. He has 2 boys that are now in 3rd grade. And and it is so, our kids call him our campus dad. They've adopted him. They beg him to take other days off to go on field trips, even though it's not his kids. And he has just been such a great guy. But that was the powerful moment that came from doing something like this. I'm also a believer in making sure that we do things that show that we are servants, that we serve our kids and the community. And one of those things is I stop inviting people to come to the school, and instead we go out to them. A couple times a semester, we go to local apartment complexes and grill hot dogs for families at the apartment complexes that serve our kids. Out pamphlets, we don't tell parents to read with their kids, and every time we get people in line that say, "Why are you doing this?" And we just look at them and say, "That's the only reason. We want you to know how much we care about you, your children, and being involved in their lives." And they just love it. Our kids love it. Our staff just love getting out there and playing football, meeting parents and families. It has just been one of the best things that we've got to do. And again, this costs about $50 to serve about 300 people. Believes in what we're doing now, and they donate the meat. They donate the buns. We have volunteers come and do the cookouts. It has just been such a great experience for us. Another one is book prom. I know you're librarians, so this is one that you're going to hopefully eat up. One of my former librarian, Kathy French, came up with the idea of the Secret Society of Readers because she had we were trying to instill a love of reading. And she had some kids that loved reading, but it wasn't the majority. So she said, you know what? I'm going to create a secret society. She handed out golden tickets to those 20 kids. And the golden ticket said, come to the library on Fridays at this time. Tell nobody where you're going. Tell your teacher this code word and show up in the library. When they'd show up in the library, the lights were off. They'd go under a table with flashlights, and they would secretly share about their books that they were reading at that time. A golden ticket and pass that golden ticket on to another fellow lover of reading to invite them to that next secret society meeting. At the end of the year, we needed a culminating activity, so she came up with the book prom, where all the Secret Society of Readers got to bring their date, aka their favorite book of the year, to the prom. There was music, there was a red carpet, there was a photo booth, there was food, there were everything. Up one at a time, shared about their date and why they brought them, and then the kids voted on the prom king and prom queen. You can see that it's a book that won, not a person. So our first year, Wonder was the prom king. Last year, Journey of Edward Tulane was the. Another one is book prom. I know you're librarians, so this is one that you're going to hopefully eat up. One of my former librarian, Kathy French, came up with the idea of the Secret Society of Readers because she had we were trying to instill a love of reading. And she had some kids that loved reading, but it wasn't the majority. So she said, you know what? I'm going to create a secret society. She handed out golden tickets to those 20 kids. And the golden ticket said, come to the library on Fridays at this time. Tell nobody where you're going. Tell your teacher this code word and show up in the library. When they'd show up in the library, the lights were off. They'd go under a table with flashlights, and they would secretly share about their books that they were reading at that time. A golden ticket and pass that golden ticket on to another fellow lover of reading to invite them to that next secret society meeting. At the end of the year, we needed a culminating activity, so she came up with the book prom, where all the Secret Society of Readers got to bring their date, aka their favorite book of the year, to the prom. There was music, there was a red carpet, there was a photo booth, there was food, there were everything. Up one at a time, shared about their date and why they brought them, and then the kids voted on the prom king and prom queen. You can see that it's a book that won, not a person. So our first year, Wonder was the prom king. Last year, Journey of Edward Tulane was the prom king, and our secret society is currently going on now. I think they have 68 members right now in the secret society that they run, and they meet once a week just to talk about books that they're reading. The leader of the secret society, they will read a story to the kids and just share about other books, and it's just such a neat experience and so much fun for the kids to do. And I've had teachers say, well, that's not fair. You don't let every kid be involved. Their life. So many times, we focus so hard on the kids who aren't reading, on the kids who aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing, who need the extra support. When we forget about celebrating those who are going above and beyond. If there are kids that love reading, let's find a way to celebrate those kids, just like we try to pull in the non-readers. That's an equally important thing that so often we forget. To redefine my role as a principal. I serve morning, lunch, and afternoon duty every single day. I teach every week at my school. I do after-school tutoring. I've done Saturday school. I play PE. I go and do recess. I teach model lessons. I cover classes so teacher can have breaks. I read to classes every month. I dress up in costume. I do dunking booths. I want my kids to see that I am not your typical principal. I have kids fighting to come into my office. When we're done with this presentation, I'll show you what my office looks like so you can see why kids get to want to come into my office. I have kids share reading books every morning on the announcements to let them know that we are all readers, that I'm not this scary person, and it also is to let my teachers know that I'm willing to get down in the trenches with them. Does that mean I have to be creative with my time? Yes, but it has paid off in huge dividends because my teachers trust me and will do anything I ask them to do because they know I'm going to get down in the trenches and do it with them. This is an example of how much fun we try to have as a staff because this is what our staff meetings look like. That is our staff meetings. We try to play a fun game every single staff meeting that we do or do some kind of activity. The one that we did yesterday, and if you go on and look, and you can also search the hashtag #LiteracyOLanterns because we all brought pumpkins and every single teacher and staff member designed a pumpkin based after their favorite book or favorite book character, and we lined the hallways with our pumpkins. I tweeted out some photos today, so if you go and look at my Twitter account, I shared some today of one of the ones I really enjoyed from the teachers. The one that I did was Ava, I just went blank. And I'm thinking of the other books. Iggy Peck, Architect, Rosie Revere, Engineer, and then
You did Rosie
Ava
Revere.
Twist, Scientist.
You did
There we
Rosie
go.
Revere,
Ava
Todd.
Twist, Scientist. Which is the brand new one that just came out. But it was probably hard to tell, Jennifer, because it was really ghetto. But I did it and I tried. But those are the fun things we try to do to bond as a staff. Because our staff meetings, if I can relay it in an email, we're not talking about it at the staff meeting. What I have up on the screen now are different canvas that we try to share out on a daily basis via our Kids Deserve It account because we want to be a voice of encouragement on social media. Too often people think they can use social media to complain. Hello, we're in the middle of a political cycle. Go on Facebook and it just makes you want to throw up about how everybody just complains about everything. Yes, we are surrounded by idiots constantly, but we don't have to talk about it on social media every chance that we get, or how much we hate our jobs, or we hate those kids, or I just wanted to quit today. We need to be flooding the system with positive things, and that's what we try to do with Kids Deserve It. I want to close with this video because this is one of my favorite videos ever that I share everywhere that I go. And you've probably already seen it, but I think it's such a good one to share to talk about the power that we have as educators.
Evening.
Evening.
May I ring that up for you?
Yes, yes.
Good evening. It's after
C-D-E-F-G. No, not good. Just the sounds that will make cat, dog, calamari, trash on the beach. Farm fresh. My son and I mowed the grass. Come Dad, hey Tubbs, I read your book. Read my book.
So if you're like me, you probably just cried at this commercial because I do every time, but it's a whiskey commercial. So congratulations, a whiskey commercial just made you cry. But I think that this commercial is so powerful because that's the power we have as educators. We get to change lives that more than just that day. We get to change lives that affect so many others, and that's the tools that we have at our disposal. One of my favorite quotes is this one: "Adults need to have fun, so children will want to grow up," by Erica Bauermeister. I think this is so important. If we are not having fun, why would any kid want anything to do with us or what we're trying to do as educators? The one thing that I want to leave you with is, as you go through every day, I want you to think about this question: who will you inspire? Because sometimes we think about inspiration as such a positive thing, but you can inspire people negatively as well. So think about the choices that you're making, the words that are coming out of your mouth, the attitude you portray, and are you inspiring kids to greatness, or are you inspiring them to want to be nothing like you? Jennifer and everybody for having me be a part. Everything that I shared about today is in the Kids Deserve It book, so you can get more information in that. And we also have a listserv where we send out emails and where we have different things like that. Let me stop sharing my screen here for a second. Stop sharing.
Oh my gosh.
I did want to show you
Go ahead.
So my office is very weirdly shaped. I don't know who built this stupid thing, but it's long and skinny. It's way too big for an office. But